Word, son. What do you do, YouTube? It's your boy, Jadavine. All right, man, before we get into this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. If you haven't already, you can hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon so you're notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, man. I feel like with Madden 24 getting ready to come out in just a little bit, and I say a little bit because they're gonna start trying to do the open or a closed beta, whatever it is they're gonna start doing. So with that being damn near right around the corner, I feel like we need to talk about something. And I want to preface this all by saying Madden 24 needs to be less of a gimmick game. Like, it's so gimmick ridden, it's not even funny. And I got a few examples here, and the list is rather short, just to name off a few. If you want to add to the list, drop down in the comment section, to add further to the point of Madden 24 needing to be less of a gimmick-ridden game. So first things first, that momentum bar, it needs a rework. Now, the reason why I say it needs a rework is because it goes back to my original point of Madden 23 is just it's so gimmick ridden that, like, I have to play against Madden and my opponent. And I don't like that. We're going from playing between me and my friend, or me and this other guy I'm playing in the league or online or whatever. I'm having to play against him and Madden. If I go against him, and say for example, if I happen to have a bad game or whatever the reason is, I have to now be subject to the home field advantage that he has. That's one, and whatever quirk comes with that. And then two, whichever random quirks they decide to give him. And sometimes it doesn't even have nothing to do with him being in home field. You know what I mean? You'll have something where, okay, home field advantage. Let's just say he's at the Seahawks, right? Okay, cool. Now, since he's with the Seahawks, it's a loud stadium. So since he's at a loud stadium, it's either, what is it? I forget what the base of it is, but I think it's the play art is like wiggly, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't really read it because it's super loud in there. And then it gives you something random, like if you happen to get to the first notch, it'll give you, oh, the away team has trouble catching the ball, or the home team has a better chance of blocking, or the second notch, it's something more over the top. It gives you more bonuses that really don't necessarily have anything to do with your home field advantage, because most of the time it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So that's why I say it's like really gimmick ridden. So I would propose this for this whole momentum bar being reworked. Now let's just go back to the Seahawks. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the Seahawks. Again, the Seahawks is a loud stadium. It is a very loud stadium. So the home field advantage, let's just say at the base, right? I might be correct. I might be spitballing, but let's say at the base, right? Home field advantage. Since it's a loud stadium, you can't really read the player like you want to. So therefore, you're going to have a harder time seeing your player when you bring it up. Cool. Let's say you get the first notch on the momentum bar and you're playing as the Seahawks, right? So because of that, now the away team is going to have trouble calling audibles or hot routes, whichever one of the two, whether you want to keep it together or you want to split them up, however you want to do it. But that's notch number one, alongside of them having home field advantage. Because like I said, the Seahawks is a loud arena. Everybody knows that. So you get to the second notch. Now, let's say if you happen to keep the first one together, whether you audible or hot route, you got a chance of it not going through. Okay, cool. Now, let's say for the second notch, you have it to where you're not able to see which icon you want to throw it to. Everything has to coincide with what that arena is or what stadium you're in. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's give you another example. Let's go to the Broncos, the Mile High Stadium. Now, everybody knows when you're playing at higher elevations, it's a little bit more tiring, or it's a little bit more stressful on the players because higher elevation is harder to breathe. So say for example, if you're like the Cowboys or whatever, right? I know I'm beating up on the Cowboys, but let's say you're them, right? You happen to go to the Broncos. You happen to go to Mile High Stadium. So you happen to go up there. Now, home field advantage says, okay, the away team is going to have a harder time being able to reserve their fatigue. So let's just say at base, before you hit any of the notches, because it's home field advantage, then you got two notches you hit. So the base, your home field advantage, you got it to where the fatigue is like 5%. That might be a little high, but you give it a certain percentage at the base. So let's make it 3%, right? Let's make it 3% that you have a fatigue drop off, right? So your team fatigue increases by 3%. That's the home field advantage because you're in the Mile High Stadium. All right, cool. You get to the first notch. Now it's 6%. Or some other percentage that, if they got to tweak it however they want to do it. But the first notch that you get to next to the home field advantage, it's 6% now. So now it's 6% on the fatigue, given that the guys recover like they're supposed to. They get on the sideline, get the oxygen tank or whatever, they get back on the field, however the case goes. But you're at now 6% when you hit the first notch. Now the second and final notch, you're at like 8% or 9%, whatever it is, whatever number it is that you can make it to where it's not ridiculously overpowering when you're trying to play in the Mile High Stadium and you got this crazy fatigue drop off. If you guys can set it that way, it makes more sense. You have to have the quirks that go with the home field advantage make sense. I can't tell you how many times I done played at the LinkedIn Stadium, and I forget what it is. I forget what the home field advantage is for that. But just those two that I named off, they give you some randomized quirk that doesn't even necessarily coincide with the fact that you got momentum on your side. I've seen some where I'm playing in the Seahawks and his first notch, aside from the home field advantage, is, the home team blocks better. Or the second notch when he hits it, the other team can't hold on to the ball as well anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's such a gimmick. It's like an arcade type thing. And God forbid if you're playing on simulation or competitive, because you're having to play against your opponent, and you're having to play with these ridiculous randomized quirks that they give for the home field advantage. Also, the home field advantage I have no problem with, but those quirks have to make sense with the home field advantage. Like I said, if you're going to play in the Mile High Stadium, have those quirks have something to do with the fatigue. If my guys are going to fatigue a little faster, if they have all the momentum on their side, then that's totally fine. Now, if you're trying to make it to where, I don't think that's a good idea to have it just only be for such and such. All right, cool. So how about we take it back to the days where back in, what was that, NCAA 09 or 10 or 11, or just the NCAA days, right? Let's make it to where each individual player has their own hot or cold or just regular slot to themselves. So let's say if you have, let's say I got Jalen Hurts, right? Let's say I happen to have a good first half, or the first few drives I have, I'm actually driving down the field, I'm doing good, I'm not throwing no picks, a lot of my passes are getting on target, I'm doing everything that I need to do, everything is good. He's starting to warm up now. You see him go from that gray to now he's kind of turning orange a little bit. You see him starting to heat up a little bit. Then that's when you see him turn into like kind of that fireball, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm pretty sure you can do your X factors and factor all that in. But at the same time, if y'all rework the momentum bar and make it to where those quirks fit the home field advantage, then I think y'all should make it to where each individual player has their own hot or cold status. Because then now it makes sense to where if I have a quarterback and he's cold or he's throwing picks and all the other stuff, he's being inaccurate, he's easily rattled because he done got sacked too many times, and whatever the case may be, it falls on him. Not because of the momentum bar saying that he should play that way now because, the momentum isn't in his favor now. You know what I'm saying? It has to be less of a gimmicky game. I have to be able to control that quarterback and make him play better in order for him to retain his what's the word I'm looking for? His confidence, kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? I know I'm down, but I'm trying to muddle through that so I can still try to push through and, get our team back to where we are. But having those random quirks up there for the momentum bar and they have nothing to do with the home field advantage, that's where y'all lost me. So that whole momentum bar has to be reworked, because now we're going towards more of an arcade-like video game, and I'm not feeling that. Y'all know how I feel about that. Let's see. Next on the list, tackle battles. Now let's talk about tackle battles for a second. Tackle battles, I think that's probably like one of the dumbest things you guys have ever added. And I honestly have a way to make it to where tackle battles make sense. Okay. When you look at tackle battles, they don't offer you too many ways of actually getting through a tackle battle. They give you one of two ways. You either win or you lose a tackle battle. You can try to push through and try to break the tackle yourself, or you sit there and you either hit the wrong button or you try to push through, but there's a possibility that a guy can come over and hit stick the pile, which is the stupidest, most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. that you can do in Madden. You go over, you just hit a pile, and the guy's just going to drop the ball because you came over there and laid a hit on him, which is so stupid. So you got that, and then, or he can come over and just peanut punch the ball out of your hands, and, you know, there's nothing you could do about that. Now, I don't know why you guys haven't seen this and thought that, you know what, we should add more ways of how to protect yourself from that. Now, I'm pretty sure people will probably say, oh, well, just put yourself on conservative. But if you put yourself on conservative, it does tell you that you are going to lose your jukes, your spins, any special skill moves that you have. You're going to lose that. In return, you have better ball security. That's not how that works. Because if that's the case, then why exactly is the cover ball button on here still? If that's the case. You know what I mean? Now, I know you have the whole thing where guys will cover the ball of their brace for all hits or whatever, but we don't see that. We don't know who can cover and brace for the hit. We don't know that. Let's say you're playing head to head. You don't know who can cover and brace for it. You don't know that. We don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So if we go inside of a tackle battle, this is what the rework needs to be for this. It needs to be either A, you can punch through it, or you can punch through it or you try to take me down for the tackle. If you're the ball carrier, you can steer your way to try to angle yourself to where you can get more yardage, or you can cover the ball. So just in case you got somebody that thinks they're going to either A, hit stick the pile, or B, try to punch the ball out of your hands, you can actually press R1 or right bumper and cover the ball up yourself so that you don't lose the ball. Now, if you're on defense, I'm pretty sure you still have everything at your disposal still, but I feel like there should be more of a way to There should be more of a way for the ball carrier to protect themselves. Now, at the same time, with those things I named off for the ball carrier, if you don't use any of those tactics, then that's on you. Whether you lose the ball on the hit stick when you push the pile, or you hit the pile, or either he come over there, he punched the ball out of your hands. But either way, you need to have the ability to be able to protect yourself. Because currently, right now, if I don't want to lose the ball, I will literally not press the button, or sometimes I'll press the wrong button on purpose so he'll hurry up and just lay down. Because I got a guy who is literally ball strip hungry, or strip the ball hungry, to the point where he'll just run over and I see his arm cocked back, and you already know what that means. So he's running over there trying to punch the ball out of my hands, and most of the time they'll give it to him. But at the same time, where is the protection for the person that's in the tackle battle that's trying to fight out of it? Where's the protection for that? You only added two ways. You only added one way on the offensive side. At least you told us there was only one way for us to get through it. But the defense has two ways of actually getting through it. You can either mash the button and take him down on the tackle, or you can have somebody come over there and hit stick him for a fumble, or you can have somebody go and try to punch the ball out of his hands. So the ball carrier has one way. The person who's actually trying to take the guy down has three ways of taking this guy down. So come on now, like if you can visually see what I'm talking about, 1 against 3, what is more dominant? It's almost like you guys did it the same way. How, remember in Madden 05 where they introduced the hit stick? I remember that. So of course Ray Lewis was the cover artist, or he was on the cover of Madden 05. He was on the cover. So the fact that they added hit stick, there was no way to counter that, but in a way that kind of made it to where it was like a risk and reward for it. You can hit stick, but you're going to whiff. But if you time it right, they're going to reward you for it. Whether it's a big hit, the guy's helmet pop off or whatever, he might get hurt, or you might fumble the ball, whatever the case is. But they added a risk and reward to it. But however, there was only one way of kind of getting around it. You could either make them whiff just by natural stick skill, or you could juke out of the way. But you didn't really have nothing in that same regard to try to challenge that until Madden 06 came around and it brought over the truck stick. The truck stick was the answer to the hit stick. So if you try to go up with somebody, say for example, if I had, who was beastly back then, Madden 06. Let's say you had Jamal Lewis, right? You had Jamal Lewis, and I tried to take Champ Bailey and try to hit stick Jamal Lewis. If you try to hit stick me with him and I'm pressing truck stick, the bigger guy's going to win. So you're going to get trucked 10 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? So that was like the balance right there. Then of course in 07, they started doing the highlight stick, and then it is hit stick 2.0 where you go high or low, so they did it like that. But they added a way to combat that and make it a balance. So going back to the whole tackle battle thing, you can't just allow the ball carrier only one way of how to get out of there. At least on your accord of y'all telling us, you can't allow there to be only one way to get out of a tackle battle versus the three ways that the defense has of taking you down and possibly turning the ball over. That's not fair, EA. How do you put these things in here and you don't add a balance to it? It doesn't make sense to me. I really feel like that was a bonehead move on your end. But we're gonna keep it pushing here. Let's see. So now next on this list, let's see, next. Hit sticks. So just like I was talking about earlier, the use of hit sticks in this game, I see a lot of the times where I can make a guy miss. You know what I'm saying? That's not a problem for me. I know how to make him over pursue. I know how to make him play himself out. I know how to do that. But there are times where I'll see a guy do a hit stick, and I kid you not, some of the times, man, like, you allow him to still make that hit just because he's in the general vicinity of me. You got to stop doing that. If a guy whiffs on a hit stick, he whiffed. Let him wither away with his mistake. Let him live with that. That heat seeker option that you could turn off and on, that needs to be gone altogether. If you can't line yourself up or take the right angle for the hit stick, then that's your fault. You gonna whiff and you gonna pay the price for that. It is what it is. But however, if you know how to line it up and you know how to actually take the proper pursuit angle to land a hit stick, by all means, do your thing. Hopefully they get you to fumble or whatever the next best thing up from that is. Hopefully. But at the same time, you guys have started drifting further away from giving players the ability to turn the tide in a match with not only the randomness of fumbles, because I've seen games where the first possession of a drive, the first tackle that goes down, it results in a fumble. I've seen it so many times. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I remember in Madden 07, I remember they told you that if you happen to go up against somebody who was smaller than you, then you were to go up top and lay a big hit, like Brian Dawkins against Reggie Bush, right? We all know Reggie Bush is smaller than Brian Dawkins, if not a little, I don't say a little less weaker, but he's not as strong as Brian Dawkins, right? So if I go and take Brian Dawkins and line him up next to Reggie Bush, and if he tries to run to the outside, I can go up top on him, pause, and knock his lights out or get the fumble and then, that's just what it is. But if I take Brian Dawkins and I try to put him up against somebody like Jerome Bettis or some other big, beefy running back or like a tight end or something like that, I can't go up top and try to hit him there. I got to go for the legs. If you go for the legs, most of the time, that's where a fumble comes from, is when you hit him in the legs. Because, you get hit in the legs, you getting spun around in the air like that, or you just see everything in your vision just go upside down. You're like, oh, snap. You might end up letting the ball go. But in here, in Madden 23, 22, 23, if you don't have the lumberjack ability, which I hate, if you don't have that on your guy, you're not going to get a low hit stick fumble. And what is the point of hitting somebody low with a hit stick when that's the only feasible option? What is the point of doing that if there's no positive outcome that comes out of that? I have never seen a fumble with somebody that does not have an ability on, like lumberjack. You hit him in the legs and he fumbles the ball. When you're going up against Derrick Henry, if you want to hit stick him, what do? You go low. That's what you do. You go up top. He's going to stiff arm you or he's going to steamroll you, whichever one. But you go for the legs. That should be what causes the fumble, because he's not really expecting it. He could try to jump over it, but that might hurt him even more. He might let the ball go because he tried to jump and you went high and then now he's flipping in the air. Whatever the case is. But you don't allow other options to try to do a hit stick. That's the problem in this game. Take the heat seeker out and allow users to be able to pick and choose when to hit stick. If I have a 180-pound soaking wet DB going up against a 240+ pound tight end and he's trying to hit stick and going up top, you should already know what the outcome of that is going to be. But however, if he's looking to try to go up top and I have him to take his legs out, then okay, cool. That should be pretty good, right? I mean, there should be something good coming out of that. Not saying that it should be consistent every single time, but if I have a person that can lay a hit on somebody or make the tackle, if I go for his legs, you have to make it to where not only can I hit up top and make a fumble, but the legs have to count for something too. Don't put that behind an ability. I have to throw that ability on in order for me to make those low hit sticks count. That's not how you play a game of Madden, bro. That's not how you take your users and you commend them for making the right hit stick. That's not how you do it. I have a huge issue with that. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that, but that is a huge problem. If you want to have high and low hit sticks, there needs to be the same kind of reward if you went high or you went low on somebody. Same kind of reward. The fumble should be there for each one. Why is there if I go up top on the hit stick with somebody that doesn't have any abilities on, but he has good hit power? How come he can make the fumble going up top? But if I do it again at the legs, if I don't have lumberjack on, then he's not going to fumble the ball. What kind of band-aid is that? Now do y'all see my point? Okay, anyway, moving on. Let's see. Next point. Last and not least, I'm in this league, and I'm pretty sure y'all see me talk about it a lot. I ranted about it in one video, but Madden had this thing where users have this control where they can do like the foot fire, or like, you can get jiggy with it at the line. You know what I'm saying? Hit it with the skibbity bop. And then, happen to make the DB miss if he's trying to press you, or, everything that you might see on the destroying video, right? With the DBs and the wide receivers. Now, what I've noticed is that you've only given that control to the users if they're controlling the wide receiver. I've noticed that. But with CPUs, they just go straight. They don't do no movements. Everything is just, we run straight into the DB. Either he beats him or he jams him up at the line. There's no in between. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that you got somebody like Jay Jettas, right? Justin Jefferson, you have somebody like him. We know that his footwork is elite. So why is it that you only give him the ability to go straight into the DB, and because he has a good release, he'll either blow past him or swim past him, and then that's considered him being elite or beating the DB because he swam past him because he has a good release rating? That's not how that works. Why do you give the controller or that kind of control to the users and users only, but the wide receivers can't use that by themselves as a computer? Why is that? How are we supposed to determine what wide receiver is better than the other, or what wide receiver is better than the DB, if they're not going to be able to use those mechanics that you've added in there for users to use as a wide receiver? Why is that? You got wide receivers just running straight into the DB, acting like they don't know any kind of release movements to try to get free from the DB. You literally put all the stock in them running their routes and hoping that they hit the routes hard enough to the point where they can leave the guy behind them or leave him on the cut and shake him like that. No, bro. A lot of the action sometimes always happens at the start of the play at the line of scrimmage. If you don't believe me, go back and watch some NFL films or the wide receivers that are mic'd up. Watch and see what they do. Watch Chad Johnson. I've seen several mic'd ups with Chad Johnson, and you see him at the line giving him crazy feet work. You see him all the time. So why is it that computer can't do those same moves themselves? That would add more variety, and I would be like, okay, I know it's going to be him and so-and-so. They're going to be battling it out. Let's see, who can get off on who. You know what I'm saying? That would make a lot more difference versus me having to go user that and then use the moves that you put in there for the user to use, but computer can't use them. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these things are boneheaded decisions you guys have made. I don't know who is in charge of these types of decisions, but this is what's killing the game. And you're turning it into more of an arcade type game than anything. Madden 23 and 22 has become a gimmick ridden game, especially with that momentum bar. These things that I just, I'll say mention or name, but these things that I just mentioned and or named off, these are the things that need to be taken care of to make sure that Madden 24 is less of a gimmicky game and more of a game where you can actually see the difference in players, or you can actually play your game and not have to worry about Madden throwing different wrenches at you to make your game more difficult because you're losing and or you're winning. You know what I'm saying? We need more control at the user standpoint. Stop with all of these things where one side is better than the other, or that side is better than the other. And then the next year, okay, well, we did the tackle battles last year. We realized that it was kind of one-sided. So now we added this ability to do such and such. I guarantee that's what they're going to do when Madden 24 comes out or is going to come out. I bet you they're going to do that. They're going to be like, oh, well, we did the tackle battle last year. We realized that the defense had more control. So this is what we're going to do. The offense has such and such. Watch and see what I say. Watch and see what I say. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below, man. I'm going to get up out of here. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. But I'm going to get up out of here, man. It's your boy Jay Devon, and I'm signing out. Peace.